The Lone Ranger sold his wardrobe. The Lone Ranger sold his bad dog. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know, 'cause times change, I know.
On some days, he's more than humble. On some days, he's cold and mad, mad as hell. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know. It's so strange. Well, I know. Those lakes of golden water, those lakes of gold are all running out. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know. It's so strange. Well, I know. Joy, joy, joy. Work, work, work harder. Sure as the hour. Joy, joy, joy. Work, work, work harder. You say. On some days, he's more than humble. On some days, he's cold and mad, mad as hell. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know. It's so strange. Well, I know. Those lakes of golden water, those lakes of gold are all running out. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know. It's so strange. Well, I know. Joy, joy, joy. Work, work, work harder. Sure as the hours. Joy, joy, joy. Work, work, work harder. You say. Joy, 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 work, work, work harder, sure as the hours. Joy, 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 work, work, work harder, you say.
Come along, join the fun, in a world where adventure is never done. Every corner we turn, a new friend in tow. It's time to start the magic on the Globus Show. It's time to learn and grow on the Globus Show. See the sights, so much to know. Across the lands, together we go. Hand in hand we join the flow. Discover wonders in the Globus Show, where every day's a brand new episode. start the magic on the Globus Show. It's time to learn and grow on the Globus Show. See the sights, so much to know across the land. Together we go, hand in hand we join the flow. Discover wonders in the Globus Show, where every day's a brand new episode on the Globus Show. It's time to learn and grow on the Globus Show.
What up, Twitch? What up, Big Ben? What up, bots? What up, lurkers? What up, tiny people in my chatterino? It's your boy. And your boy is a CB boy. The CBest of boys. So CB. Big yawn. We got some lights hooked up. That looks great. I'm not gonna lie. That looks great. Yep, this is my old camera, but I think this is good. He's got a place he feels comfortable, and that's his. It's a scratching thing that he can also lay down in. And now he's gonna walk over here. You want treats? You want lem lem lem? What up, old lobster? It went inside his little keyhole. What up, Stellar Wingman? Stampy treats. Gotta get those stampy treats. I hope everyone is having an acceptable Friday. Yell. Yell. What?
We are the Borg. Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Resistance is futile.
What up, resistance is futile? What up, James? What up, B-Ree? What up, Kashka? What up, Crix? What up, Digical? What up, Ponder Monkey? What up, Textilian? What up, Astro? What up, Ratatosk? What about Bob? What up, Hooligan Grundy? I take it, Hooligan, that this is the first time you see me without the beard. What up, Hype Them? What up, Becca? How you doing? What up, Rebel Phoenix? Still working on it. Still in play. We are still in play. What up, Pharaoh? What up, Poodlehawk? What up, Elron? What up, Reckon? What up, Got Punk? Hoist TV, welcome in. What up, Textil or not Textilian? T minus the goat. It's me. It's me. I'll prove it. Just smoke the weed, kids. See, it's me. Baby, I just met you. This is crazy. Here's my number. Call me maybe. What up, Agrica? What up, Kensai? How you doing, homie? What up, Ribbons? What up, Queer Sociology? No, the beard was AI all along. That's what you fail to appreciate. What up, Cadillo? We do have a Stampy. Oh. What up, a troll? Is it a troll or a troll? Is it a long A or a short A? I've often wondered. Chunkiest the boys. Yippee-dee-doo. 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 Oh, cat hair in my mouth. Delicious. How is everyone doing? I've really taken to these plastic shirts because they don't hold cat hair like at all. Iggy, how you doing, homie? What up, Brad Hobbit? This is the thing now. The Bills, yes, the Bills. Quick dry, anti-wrinkle, yes, 100%. This is actually what I wore to work today, because it's Friday, and you can wear Bills gear Friday, Saturday, Sunday during football. I hope so. I hope so, Ponder Monkey. I hope so. Yeah, Iggy. Here. Still semi-bearded. Not as bearded. What up, Leftist Corp? Sports ball. Leftist Corp, we are getting to that video. The no ethical use of Suno video today. Guaranteed. It's 5th on the docket. Speaking of, let's do content. First up, new Kelly Bosch.
I don't play music for the man. I play it late. I play
For those of you who are not familiar with Kelly Bosch, this is AI music, this is AI video, this is all AI.
When the hours cheap, the bar's half dead, and I don't feel like being proud. It slides in slow, it hits me wrong. It knows the mess I'm living in. It rattles bones, it cracks the room, unless the honest parts
What up,
begin.
Box fan?
I feel the music in my chest. Where things don't heal, they just survive. It doesn't promise anything, it only proves I'm still alive. Some songs stumble.
What up, Vil Morgar? I hope I pronounced that correctly. Not Guy, I believe Gal, but I don't actually know. And yes, what I like to show by people like Kelly Bosch is that it's all good, you can get creative using the tool. It is a tool, and you can be creative with it.
Through the door, some walking clean and leave a stain. The good ones never say a word, they just sit down and share the pain. They don't
Kill it,
pretend
Kevin.
to make me whole, they don't ask why I stay so long. They play it straight, they play it true, they play me back what I get wrong. I feel the music in my
What up, Dragon
chest,
Wizard?
where doubt and hunger
What up, Aswarp?
collide. It doesn't save me from myself, it just refuses to take sides. I've seen men dance like they were free. I've seen them drink like they were done. The song keeps going either way. It doesn't care who won or won. I feel the music when it ends, when silence hits and nothing's said. The room looks same, the night's still thin, but something real.
Yeah, I reckon it's not 100% technically perfect. I look for those kind of details myself. The bald guy with the cup, when he moved his hand in a particular way, the cup ceased to exist. It and then disappeared, right? But compared to where we were even a year ago, I mean, it could be as early as next year where it would be the chair that just appeared, correct? We could be 100% technically perfect by next year, continuing on this trend line.
Move through my head, that's how I know it did its job. It left me standing where I was with one more reason not to.
What up, Michael? Yeah, same, absolutely. Up next, New Damien.
Where did the future go? It's not just that our future looks bleak. You can't boot up Netflix without the latest political dystopia, civilizational collapse thriller, or a gritty new take on the post-apocalypse punching you in the gut. Going on social media in the 2020s is like being repeatedly slapped in the face with a wet copy of Cormac McCarthy's The Road. We're a generation trying to figure out if our skills in web design are transferable to surviving the Thunderdome. And the news is legitimately packed with existential disasters, ecological collapse, nuclear risk, resource wars, the construction of yet another data center that uses more energy than the state of Oklahoma, so we can pay a supercomputer to draw subpar manga. We keep building a new machine to solve the problem caused by the last machine we built to solve a problem itself caused by one of our machines, all the way back to the flint axe and the carrier bag. Machines. We can't live with them, and we certainly can't live without them. And it seems we can't imagine anything beyond them.
I believe that this nation should commit itself
Parkours.
to landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth.
We're going to Mars, Saturn, the stars, the galaxy.
Science fiction tells two stories of the future. In one, humanity steals fire from the gods and grasps control of our machines. In these Promethean futures, men, competent men with engineering degrees, build the future with machines. The crew of the Enterprise and its warp engines exploring strange new worlds. The psycho-historians of Asimov's Foundation building a higher civilization. Men leave Earth to build megastructure ring worlds and Dyson spheres, again and again from Star Maker to the Bobbyverse. You can find some sparks of Promethean sci-fi in For All Mankind, a future fantasy about what if we just...
I enjoy this show a lot. I kind of think it might have should have ended after season 2. Bit unnecessary drama kind of feel, you know, but for all that, I think it's good.
kept building bigger and better machines. In the first true work of science fiction, the brilliant young philosopher Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley began the dialectic that sci-fi is still struggling with 200 years later. On one hand, we have the Promethean scientist Victor Frankenstein and his efforts to create life as man creates machines. On the other, we have the creation, the monster.
I considered watching it parkour. I have technical debt. What up, Larry? It's a new Damien. The future of life, the universe, and this channel.
Monstrous product of making man in the image of the machine. Frankenstein's sci-fi shows us again and again the machine taking over, making man its slave or destroying humanity altogether. Fritz Lang's Metropolis, The Machine Stops by Ian Forster, The Death Star, William Gibson's Neuromancer and all the cyberpunks and Blade Runners, Skynet and the Terminator, the Borg, the Matrix. The machine will raise us up. The machine will enslave us. The machine will destroy us. The machine might save us. Science fiction has been cycling between Prometheus and Frankenstein for 200 years. The only way to escape this dialectic is to steer into the heart of the contradiction, to understand the sublime object of science fiction itself, the machine. But before we descend further into the abyss, a bit of housekeeping from the studio. We have a new 150-inch projector screen, perfect for watching the Jackpot projected live in 4K and projecting backgrounds for many new video essays. 3 things happening behind the scenes. 1, the great content consolidation. Over the next couple of months, we're making all of the content available on all the platforms. Whether you're on the website, the Substack, the YouTube, you will get the full library of science fiction video essays, no more digital scavenger hunts. 2, omnipresence, video essays on YouTube, yes, and now Spotify, written versions on Medium, and I'm putting some of the videos on Rumble, mostly just to troll the Joker right and see if they can handle words with more than 2 syllables. Number 3, special projects.
What up, Chef?
No more audio commentaries. I'm putting all of that energy into the main video essays. The podcast feed will have audio versions of the videos a few days after the main content. However, keep an eye out for a second channel for weird stuff. It'll happen when the machine allows. Thank you. I started the science fiction community and podcast and this channel to find a better future, or at least a story of the future that didn't involve me fighting a mutant over a can of dog food. It was the peak of COVID. I was hiding out in Bali with a couple of stray cats and far too much time to watch the digital world catch fire on Twitter, and I got into an argument with Neil Gaiman. Twitter is now shitter, and Neil has since, well, let's say he disgraced the mythos and has retreated to the shadows. We'll dissect that carcass another time. I wanted to know what the greatest mythos of the 21st century was. Neil answered that those all seemed like 20th century myths. When the 21st century myth showed its face, we would know. Give Neil his due, the man knows his myth. So I woke up at 3 a.m. with an idea burning my third eye open. Science fiction is the mythos of modernity. It's the secular scripture that replaced the gods. But could it be the mythos of what comes next? Or is sci-fi just...
Is my number. Call me maybe. Thank you for the follow.
The final suicide note of a dying species. So began my quest to find an actual viable story for our future. A 21st century mythos. A future we can all live with and in. Since then, we've dissected the greats, the dangerous philosophy of Ursula K. Le Guin, the secret history of Stanislav Lem. We even looked at...
Well, Doug. Just roll with it, baby. Just roll. Just relax. Nothing here can hurt you.
Isaac
Permanently.
Asimov's real foundation, not the shiny,
What up, Tinker?
hollowed out Apple TV show that wears its skin like a Buffalo Bill suit. We've analysed why corporate entertainment is so consistently soul-crushing, how the corporate entertainment complex has turned the shared mythos of sci-fi into the cultural equivalent of a Big Mac, but we've also seen how sci-fi can now and again be smuggled past the corporate bureaucrats like Pluribus and Severance. Honestly, good job on that one, Apple. You managed to make a show about the horror of working for Apple. We've dived into the political implications of sci-fi myths, from H.G. Wells' plan for a globalist superstate, the original "You will own nothing and be happy," to George Orwell's fear that the future is just a boot stamping on a human face forever. And yes, we've done maybe a bit too much Karl Marx, but it wasn't me who made the most important sci-fi show of the 21st century so far, and/or a literal textbook on Marxist revolution. Blame Tony Gilroy. I'm just the guy pointing at the explosion. There is a reason to resurrect a 200-year-old critique of capitalism, because that's where our future went. It didn't vanish, it was sold to the machine. The Science Fiction Channel is taking a journey into the heart of the machine. We're going to analyse how the machine was created in the imagination of humankind as the sublime object of science fiction. We're going to see how the mythos of sci-fi has been abused by grifters and gurus to mystify their victims with techno bullshit. We're going to grapple with the darkest philosophy born of sci-fi, the theoretical framework which demonstrates that capitalism and the machine are the same damn thing, and journey into the future the accelerationists want. We're even going back to the Matrix to see how the red pill was perverted by the alt-right. And we're diving into the men who made transhumanism, the sexiness of cyberpunk, the invisible power of psychopolitics, and much more, to see how the machine was built, how it is managed, and where it is taking us all. I remember Philip K. Dick abandoning his sequel to The Man in the High Castle because he was literally physically ill from thinking about Nazis. To prevent the same, we'll have some light-hearted side quests, like a dip into the mind of Douglas Adams. We are walking into dark places, but we can't get back to the future unless we understand the machine that's currently sitting in its seat. I promise that, like Tolkien's hobbits, we will eventually stumble back to the Shire. But first, we have to walk into Mordor and maybe explore the secret Stalinist meaning of Lord of the Rings along the way.
We will need writers who can remember freedom, the realists of a larger reality. We live in capitalism. Its power seems inescapable. So did the divine right of kings. Resistance and change often begin in art, and very often in our art, the art of words.
There are many logical reasons why we lost the future. Neoliberalism, resource depletion, the algorithmic grind. But I want you to reverse the causality. It's not that the future was deleted by dystopias, it's that dystopia rushed in to fill the vacuum because we stopped telling better stories. We left the door open and the monsters moved in. It is easier to imagine the end of the world than the end of capitalism. So we must imagine harder. Our art, the art of science fiction, is the only tool sharp enough to cut through the machine. We can tell a better story. We can do this. Or, at the very least, we can die a nerd's death trying.
Highly recommended. Check out Damien's back catalog. Absolutely fantastic. All right, let's talk about Suno.
Hi. So
Hi.
I've made many videos on Suno already, and I get many questions and remarks about ownership of the songs that you generate with Suno and related copyright. Now, I'm not a lawyer, so I always refer people to a couple of blog articles on the Suno
We're gonna talk to the lawyer.
knowledge base, and I recently
We're gonna listen to the lawyer talk.
noticed that something had changed there in relation to who owns the songs that you generate with Suno. So let's have a look. Let's go. Now, as you probably realize, if you've not been living under a rock, AI music generation is a very hot topic and it's used all over the place by now. Not just by measly little amateurs in a home studio like myself, but also by a lot of pros in the music business that use it to generate ideas during songwriting sessions, quickly try out some different arrangements and production styles, and for much, much more. Rick Beato recently made a video about this subject, as well as Warren Hewart from Produce Like a Pro, and I'll link both of those videos in the description below so you can check out how impactful all of these tools are already at this moment. And also in the recent interview that Rick Beato had with Ryan Tedder, the subject of writing songs with the help of AI obviously came up as well. And yes, he is a songwriter who has been writing hits for 20-30 years. He's using AI as well for quickly trying out things. Now, I'm not saying that these professionals fully generate their songs in Suno and then release them as is, but they do use these tools in their writing sessions and music productions, and obviously later have them sung by real artists, re-recorded with real musicians, etc. Now, with all of this, it's of course very important to know how ownership is arranged for songs that you generate in Suno. And I noticed a change in the related online Suno articles about this recently, so let's have a look. Now, this is a version of the article that I used to refer people to when they had questions about this on my Suno videos. but currently it's coming from the Wayback Machine, the big internet archive, because it has recently been changed. Previously, it said, do I have the copyrights to songs I made? And the big changes are in this section over here. So before November 26th, it used to read like this, relating to Suno. If you make music with the basic plan, Suno is the owner of the songs. You are allowed to use the songs for non-commercial purposes. And the second bullet reads, if you make songs while subscribed to the Pro or Premier plan, you own the songs. Further, you are granted a commercial use license to monetize those songs. Now, they also did a bit of a disclaimer. In both cases, however, the material may not be eligible for copyright protection because music made 100% with AI does not qualify for copyright protection, at least in the US and many other countries as well, because a human did not write the lyrics or the music. Writing the prompt does not constitute the creation of the song. Now, this section has now changed to read the following, relating to Suno. You may be granted commercial use rights, which allow you to reproduce, copy the songs to sell, distribute, etc. And the second bullet now reads, even with granted commercial use rights, you generally are not considered the owner of the songs since the output was generated by Suno.
Dun, dun, dun.
And again, there is the same disclaimer about the material not being eligible for copyright protection anyway, if it was 100% generated.
Which means, ultimately, that even if Suno is the owner of the songs, there's nothing they can do about it. There was nothing they could do about it, even if I generated it with the basic free plan, because no one owned the songs as far as copyright went. You can own it. You can own it all day. You can do whatever the hell you want with it, Suno. I'm going to do whatever the hell I want with it. Nothing you can do about it.
With AI. So that's quite a change, right? And there's actually a second article about this. This is the version before November 26th. Does Suno own the music I make? And previously they said, we know that ownership of your material is important and it's helpful to know exactly where you stand before you take the next steps with your songs. The easiest way to know would be to ask yourself, was I subscribed when I made the song? If you were subscribed with a Pro or Premier plan, when the song was created, you are considered the owner of the song. You also retain the rights to commercial use for the song, even if you end your subscription. Now, if you're using the free version of Suno, Suno retained ownership and you were allowed to use the songs for non-commercial purposes only. Now, this article has now changed to read like this. Does Suno own the music I make? The answer is a bit complicated, but generally yes. Suno is ultimately responsible for the output itself, though you help guide it.
That's a good question, Michael. No, there's no law at this point in time. I would posit that you would have copyright for the lyrics, but the song and the music you would not, because Suno generated the music, right? How would they? They enforce it by sending a lawyer at you, right? That's really what it would come down to. But again, what do you got? Currently, there's no copyright to the song. If there's no copyright, then it's public domain. Basically, you don't own it. You can't own it because you can't legally defend your rights to possess it. I love AI.
In that sense, we act as the owner, but we give you the rights often associated with ownership if you made the songs while subscribed. And again, the second paragraph reads the same as previously. If you were subscribed with a Pro or Premier plan, when the song was created, you are granted commercial use rights for the song. However, then there's a new line. This does not indicate ownership, however, as we can't guarantee that what you input was yours, and we can't guarantee that the output won't be similar to other outputs we generate. Yeah, so the new version of these articles are basically in sync, where they previously said, you own the songs if you're a paid subscriber. They now say, no, Suno owns the songs, even if you're a paid subscriber, but we are giving you commercial use rights, which is the same for all intents and purposes. Now, before we dive into this a little bit deeper and actually find something about an upcoming feature in Suno as well, if you like this video or find it useful at all, please give it a big thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm so that it gets shown to more people. Subscribe to the channel and ring the little bell icon if you want to know when I publish another video. For even more support, you can use the super thanks button below the video, which is kind of a virtual tip jar, or if you intend to buy anything at one of these stores. I have affiliate links in the description of this video, and if you click one of those links before you buy at that store, I will get a small commission without any additional cost to you, which is always very highly appreciated. But let's get back to Suno and the ownership of songs. Now, the articles I refer to and have been changed are just blog articles. They are not the official terms of service, so let's have a look at the actual terms of service. And again, I'm not a lawyer and this is quite lawyer speak, but I think this is the part in the terms of service that relates to ownership, subject to your compliance with these terms of service. So if you stick to the rules.
I am not a lawyer. I'm not a copyright expert. I just know some things and can read. It also sounds vaguely like what they're doing over, or what they've done over at Steam, right? Where you have, the license to use a video game, but you have not bought the video game, right? And it's difficult to say how much of that is to protect them and how much of that is to protect, well, none of it's to protect you because they don't care about you. You are fodder, meat for the beast. But as far as to protect them, if you happen to craft a Suno song that sounds amazingly like the Beatles, then that's they're saying you might not own it, right? If it would have to be determined in a court of law whether or not your song sounds different enough from the Beatles to be legally distinct from the Beatles, etc. Technically, that was always true. Even on disc, you only technically have a license to use the software on the disc. You never own the software. True. Because God help you if you lost your CD key and tried to get another CD key to replace the CD key that you had already bought.
That they mentioned before. If you are a user who has subscribed to the Pro or Premier paid tier of the service, Suno hereby assigns to you all of its rights, title and interest in and to any output owned by Suno and generated from submissions made by you through the service during the term of your paid tier subscription. However, due to the nature of machine learning, Suno makes no representation or warranty to you that any copyright will vest in any output. So again, the disclaimer about maybe not being able to register copyright for songs fully generated by Suno, just in more fancy language. But the interesting thing in these terms of service is actually that they have not been changed. So while the articles explaining the terms of service have been changed, the terms of service themselves have not been changed. There's only one recent change in the terms of service that I could find, and I actually did a comparison on the text version of these terms of service, because in the new terms of service, they are saying something about a Suno chat. As part of the service, we may make available an artificial intelligence-powered chat assistant known as Suno Chat.
This would be okay, so for those of you who are not familiar with my process when I create songs with Suno, a lot of it has to do with when I use Claude, because Claude, in my opinion, is the most creative. Yeah, I accept your terms of service. Right. These are lyrics I created with Claude, and then I pasted them into Suno and created a song, and the rest, as they say, Robert's your relative, right? This is still so wild, right? Like, so this song here, I used person, man, woman, camera, TV for no particular reason, right? and I repeated it, right? It should be spoken word with music. But there's something going on in Suno that when you put person, man, woman, camera, TV, it just, there are no lyrics to the song. It just turns into an instrumental. And this has always been the case since I've been doing it. They're dynamis. So having something, and the reason that I do that is because, like, when you generate lyrics with Suno, if you're not familiar, right? Where is create? You have it write you some lyrics based on a prompt, and then it generates a song. And then you, if you want to edit the lyrics or play with the lyrics, then you basically generate an entire new song. And I really, I want to work out the lyrics before I generate the song, and then work on the music to go with those lyrics. You know what I mean? So having a chat tool, you know, an LLM functioning within the system that I could work back and forth with, that I think has tremendous upside.
May only use Suno Chat to
Is it different from the old personas, Larry? Because I've got personas. I don't know where they are anymore. These are personas I created over time. They make you rebuild the persona. I need time. I need non-linear, where I can, like, separate from the linear timeline that everyone else experienced, take a couple of hours to exist within a little time bubble, circle back, and then rejoin the timeline. That would be cool.
facilitate your creation and
Well, Ponder Monkey. I mean, never not that.
refinement of music and other output via the service, and not for any other purposes unless we allow otherwise in writing. So I'm not sure what they mean with Suno Chat. Maybe this is actually new functionality that we can look forward to in the new year. But it does sound interesting because it seems more like a way to maybe refine songs via a chat-like interface instead of having the current ways of creating a song. So what do you think of all of this? Is this maybe a subtle change which will lead to bigger changes now that they have to deal with Warner, actual changes on the platform? Or is this just a subtle rewording of the terms of service that were always there to begin with and haven't really changed in regard to ownership? If you're a lawyer or so inclined, please weigh in and let us know how you feel about this. But to all the rest of you as well, of course, how do you feel about this? To me, it does not immediately seem like a big change in practice. You can still do with your Suno generated songs what you did with them before, if you're on a paid plan that is, but you never know what's to come, of course. Now, if you're interested in the use of AI in music production, I have a whole playlist of videos on this subject, which I will link over here. Check it out, enjoy, and see you soon.
Was that too nuanced for everyone? Would you prefer something a little more reactionary and hyperbolic? I give you Top Music Attorney.
So our clients through my law firm who are using Suno, they are paying for a pro subscription, and these questions keep coming up. I thought we should address it from the terms of service. The terms of service is the contract that you sign when you use the service, and it's what you're agreeing to. And so it's important you understand what the updated, that new
I'll give that a shot, Michael.
version says going into 2026, because you guys are using this platform often for inspiration. You are using it to finish your songs, or some of you are just putting in word prompts and it generates 100% an AI song in that way. However you're using the platform, you are releasing tracks onto music platforms, you are putting them on social media, and there is a legal catch. And that catch has to do with the copyright that is or may not be in your AI generated song. So we're going to take a look at
It's not. The Copyright Office is currently established that you do not have a copyright. You have to mostly generate a work through human labor, not through generative AI. That's the current standard.
The terms of service for the November 6th, 2025 updated terms of service. Okay, so we're going to discuss what rights do you have for the songs that you create on the platform, and then what legal traps are you potentially going to run into. So let's jump into it. What are all the things you can do with one of these paid tiers, right? So it's going to be your pro or your premium. This is what you can do. One is going to be you will have commercial use. You can, in fact, distribute your songs. And then, of course, you can monetize your AI songs.
I don't know, Elron. How does it?
Songs on YouTube, on social media platforms, but there's a catch with the pro plans. They can't guarantee that your output is non-infringing, and they can't guarantee that copyright vests in your song. So,
Larry, no, because previously, again, like my process with creating music, like if I go to the missile knows where it is, these are all in parentheses. That's how you get spoken word, right? Any second.
The missile knows where it is at all times. It knows this because it knows where it isn't. By subtracting where it is from where it is, or where it isn't from where it is, it obtains a difference or deviation.
I have always used this. I actually have a GPT, custom GPT that I could drop in any paragraph. You know what, Larry? It's worth a shot. I'm dying again. Do 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 do. Oh. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. All right, we'll come back to that. Yeah, no, I really like that dee 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 dee.
The guidance subsystem uses deviations to generate corrective commands to drive the missile.
I'm a fan, but then I would be.
let's take a peek at what I'm talking about. All right, in the realm of uniqueness, due to the nature of machine learning, your output, your AI song may not be unique across users and the server.
I'm sorry. As far as due to the nature of human learning, your output may not be unique across users, right? Like that's just how that works.
May generate the same or similar outputs for a third party. Other users may provide similar submissions and receive the same output. Now, on the flip side, for those of you who are using the platform in the free or the basic plan, it's really important that you understand that you do not have a commercial license. It is a for only non-commercial use. So let's go to that language.
And what does that mean? I hope she explains what that means, because that's why we're watching this video, which is about the same subject matter as the previous video, is that I'm hoping she clarifies what that means, and as a lawyer, how that will, like, stop me.
If you are a user of the free or basic tier of the service, then you covenant and agree that you will only use the outputs generated by you solely for your lawful internal, personal, and non-commercial purpose, provided that you give attribution to Suno in each case. What does attribution mean? It means credit.
No, I know
and so
what that
practically
means.
speaking, it actually doesn't describe what that means, but of course, the most important language is that you cannot use it for commercial purpose. You, in fact, do need to pay for a pro or premium plan. Now, the next logical question that you guys have is you go, well,
That's it, nothing, right? Like, provided us no more clarification on that.
what happens if I generated an AI song and then I paid for a paid subscription, right? Does it cover the song that I created when I was on the free plan? And the answer is no. Although you cannot just convert, right, the prior songs that you had generated, what you can do is there's the remix feature. So there are people who have used this to essentially just create a new version, right? So you make a new version, and so pursuant to the new version, pursuant to the plan that you're paying,
Like the Def Leppard, what's her name? That famous chick with the plane chick. Sorry. The famous woman with the plane, she's marrying that football guy. Taylor Swift, yes. Taylor Swift, like, in order to regain the rights, re-recorded all their songs, something like that.
now the contract that you have governs that relationship. Does that make sense? Another question that comes up has to do with your guys' lyrics. That's a very popular reason people use this platform, is that they will input their own lyrics and then have Suno make an AI song from there. So it does,
which is what was asked earlier. And again, I believe that because a human generated the lyrics in their totality, or at least a substantial portion, which would adhere to current copyright law, then the human would own those lyrics in spite of the fact that they put them into Suno.
say that you retain ownership of your lyrics. However, there is something that you are giving to Suno, and this is a pretty big deal. By using the service or other transmitting submissions to us, you grant Suno and our affiliates, very important, not just Suno, successors, assigns, right? So future companies it may sell to or merge with, designees. What you're giving is a worldwide, non-exclusive, fully paid, sub-licensable, assignable, perpetual, and irrevocable license to use what you input, including to make derivative works. All right, so why do we care
There you go. That answers that question.
about that? We care particularly if you are uploading your original lyrics, right? And of course,
You still retain ownership. You are granting them a sub-license.
demos, a lot of you are creating instrumentals, right? And putting stuff into Suno, is that you're actually giving an irrevocable license. You cannot take it back to allow Suno to train on your music, your lyrics, your ideas. And in fact, it says that what it trains on, it may end up spitting it out in someone else's output. So for me, that was a pretty big deal breaker when I first read the terms. This, of course, has not changed since the very beginning of when we started to cover these. And the other piece, of course, is said that it's sub-licensable and it's assignable. So that means that the rights can be given to some other company that you may not be cool with, that you may not be aware of, later on in the future. This kind of thing happens a lot in the entertainment space, where people will give rights to use, let's say, their face in a commercial, and then in the contract, it's like, well, we may decide to give those rights to someone else later on, and then it's just wild what will happen with people's likenesses, their names showing up in things they never wanted to be a part of. It's wild business. All right, so what can Suno do with your content? Well, it can store it, modify it, create new versions, derivative works. It can even monetize. It can can even promote, and of course, it can train its own AI model. So, what's the legal risk here? Well, part of it is just that there's a misunderstanding about the ownership piece, right? So you do, at least as it stands right now with these terms, you own the AI output that you create using the platform, okay? But that's not the same thing as copyright. And so what Suno says is that it does not agree that everything is going to be fully cleared. And in fact, it couldn't even make that statement. But importantly, we're going to go by Suno's own words here. So what Suno actually says is that in the disclaimer of warranties, your use of the services and any output is at your sole risk. The service and any output is provided as is and as available. The Suno parties expressly disclaim all warranties of any kind. So they're saying we are not making any promises to you whatsoever. And you are taking on the legal liability if anything should happen. It goes on to say the Suno parties make no warranty that your use of any output will not infringe the rights of any third party. As you guys might know, there are lots of lawsuits right now against Suno as well as other companies such as Udio, and this is over the alleged unauthorized training of human-made music. And so the
Training is fair use. Current statute, current precedent in 2 cases established that training is fair use.
The problem here is that the stuff that the AI trains on is mirrored, it is mimicked. And so the problem and the big concern that a lot of people have is that in the outputs, well, there's no guarantee that what you have is fully cleared. And in fact, if a problem comes up pursuant to the terms, it says it's all on you. Here's the indemnification provision to the extent permitted under law. You agree to defend, indemnify, and hold Suno, its affiliates, all of its people that works for Suno, harmless. You agree to pay the lawyer's fee if there's a claim, a lawsuit, or a proceeding. So what we're saying is that the Pro, Premier tiers, these do give commercial use to the AI songs, but it doesn't guarantee cleared ownership. It doesn't guarantee copyright. And in fact, under the law, copyright right now, it's kind of a sliding scale. And I do a video and a deep dive kind of showing you how to register your songs if you use AI in conjunction with...
I'm sorry, what side of this whole thing are you on? Because she came across as very anti-AI previously. She has a lawsuit allegedly along with a bunch of independent artists, but at the same time is providing advice on how to copyright your songs. Pick a lane.
With what you are creating. And there is one bright line rule, which is if you do not create any portion of your song yourself, so meaning the lyrics are not your words, let's say you instead used ChatGPT to make the lyrics for you, and then you put those lyrics into Suno, that would be considered 100% AI created. You cannot get copyright registration for that. Suno, of course, has very broad perpetual rights as it relates to your content that you put into Suno. It does say that the terms can change at any time. It's up to you to come back and check to see if any changes have been made to the contract terms. So my question would be, as you're watching this video, are you on the free, the pro, or the premier version? And are you using Suno to get your ideas, inspiration, demo at some music? I'm here to try to help navigate you guys through all of this, so don't forget
No, you're not.
to subscribe. I'm talking.
All right. And finally, the moment leftist Corp has been waiting for, there is no ethical use of Suno.
Hello friends, and welcome back to the channel. So a couple weeks ago, I made
Timu Fred Durst out here telling us there is no ethical use of Suno.
A very simple Facebook post. It simply said, there is no ethical use of Suno. Now, as you can imagine, I received a lot of comments.
Well, yes. One would expect that to be the case. Members of the Discord, people who follow me on the YouTube, have seen how animated defenders of Ed Zitron get when I refer to him as a grifter. It makes them very upset.
Agreement and a lot of comments pushing back. Someone said,
There's also no ethical use of Facebook, iPhones, or any tech that takes advantage
Right, there's no ethical consumption under capitalism. Like G.
of exploited labor practices. Art is theft. Embrace the technology and have fun. AI isn't copying songs.
It's learning patterns.
and then someone else came on and framed it in this way. They said, me having access to resources with which to learn an instrument and how to produce music is a sign of my privilege, and that what AI is doing is it's helping disadvantaged people make music who otherwise just like wouldn't be able to do it. So in this
Yes. I wouldn't necessarily make that argument because it can get muddy fast, but it is on its face correct.
video, I'm going to do my best to respectfully counter these arguments.
No, you're
and
not.
I'm going to give 3 broad reasons why I think musicians should not use Suno and other generative AI tools like it. Reason number 1, the ethical problems with Suno as a company. Reason 2, the negative effects of using AI on cognition versus the positive effects of actually learning how to play an instrument. And reason number 3,
Again, that kind of like bypasses the entire concept of privilege, but go ahead.
there are more free resources with which to learn how to play an instrument and produce music the right way.
The right way. But again, you still have to get an instrument, right? That's like a decent guitar, a decent cheap guitar, acoustic, $150. What up, joint specialist? That's what I'm saying, the right way.
Than ever before. So let's get into it. First, the ethical problems with Suno as a company.
Hit me,
The
big
key
dog.
issue here is that Suno used more or less the entirety of recorded music to train its models, including tens of millions of recordings. Specifically, copyrighted works owned by both major record labels and millions of independent artists. Now, Suno admitted to doing this. They settled their lawsuit with Warner Music, and they have agreed to restructure their business to pay royalties moving forward and to allow artists to have more control over the use of their music and likeness. However, before they settled, they first tried to claim that this process was covered under fair use.
And it is. Training an AI model currently is fair use. What's weird to me is how anyone could tell whether lyrics are entirely AI generated. Someone could write them and they use AI to polish or spice up parts of them. So how would you ever know? However anyone feels about Michael Jackson, in court, Michael Jackson demonstrated Michael's process of creating a song. And in that demonstration of process, they were able to win a particular lawsuit. You would have to demonstrate the same kind of thing, right? That you have copies of the lyrics that exist at some point in time that would satisfy the judge, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That kind of thing. It's all based on how much you can pay your lawyers.
In fact, Timbaland, who has an entire section in his Wikipedia page dedicated just to plagiarism, was like jumping in my comments on TikTok arguing that this was just fair use.
Yeah, Timbaland actually partnered with Suno, and they had a little contest remixing a Timbaland song. Interestingly enough, while I was able to remix and etc. with the song during that period, after the contest ended, it now gets caught in copyright hell when I go to try and generate a new song. I remember a lawsuit pre-AI. 2 songs started off with similar beat. The original artist lost the case. Right? Like, the music, if you look into music history and its relationship to copyright and the legal cases around that, it is, as far as I'm concerned, almost impossible to know whether or not you're violating. Well, there's the Vanilla Ice thing, right? Under pressure, it goes dun 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 dun, right? But in Ice Ice Baby, it's dun 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 dun, and that it makes all the difference. It's one of my favorite lines ever from Rob Van Winkle. Just with his whole chest, my man came out on MTV and actually said that with a straight face and didn't break once. Fucking respect. Just all in on the grift. Yeah, and that's what it comes down to. It's who's got the more convincing argument. And unfortunately, in our legal system, the more convincing argument is usually the person who can pay more money for their lawyers.
So what is fair use? Well, according to copyrightalliance.org, you can use copyrighted works for the sake of criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, or research purposes.
Or you can be transformative with it, which is an important piece because that's why it's fair use. If you are transformative with the creation using the original copyrighted work, then it's fair use, right? Like the Campbell's paintings of what's his name, the Campbell's soup can paintings, they were transformative. So they didn't fuck with the copyright.
There are 4 key factors used to determine if a given usage of copyrighted material is considered fair use. Factor 1, the purpose and character of the use. If a use is commercial in nature, it is less likely to be considered fair use than if it's going to be in a non-commercial application.
I tend to agree, Michael. I mean, that's basically my position on the whole thing. You are not a necessarily... I would not make the argument that anyone creating music with Suno or a tool like that is a musician. You're more akin to a producer. Not saying you are a producer, because if you try to take the skills that you learned on Suno and then try to mix and master stuff in a studio, you're going to fail.
Factor 2, the nature of the copyrighted work. Whether the work is creative versus fact-based. Use of more creative or imaginative underlying work is less likely to support a claim of fair use, while the use of factual work would be more likely to support a claim of fair use. Factor 3, the amount used. Where the amount used is very small in relation to the copyrighted work, this factor will favor a finding of fair use, but where the amount used is not insignificant, this factor will favor the copyright owner. This factor also considers the qualitative amount.
Yeah, that's why during the 1970s, there was that whole, and like if you were alive in like the mid to late 80s, you could get those Columbia House tapes, eventually CDs of like the great singer-songwriters, like your Jim Croce's and people like that, because that was a thing, right? They wrote the song, they played the song, they did the whole bit. There's a much longer history of a label purchasing a song or an album and then adding it to their catalog and then having a bunch of their signed artists play that song and being able to hit different crowds, right? Different genres of music, and be able to appeal to the widest possible audience. Chris Christopherson, which, like, I only knew him as an actor until much later. I would argue, Reckon, if you really want to get into the philosophy of art and the philosophy of music, that all art and all music is a collaborative experience, right? because you create based on that which has come before, which is why, especially in music, when you get interviewed about your new album you just put out, one of the questions it's almost always asked is, who would you consider your greatest influences, right? Because you listening to Jim Croce and Chris Christopherson and Leadbelly and, whoever the fuck, led to the particular sound that you eventually came to.
Of the copyrighted work used. If the portion used was the heart of the work, it's likely not going to be covered under fair use. Factor 4, the effect of the use on the market. The fourth factor not only considers whether the defendant's activities may harm the current market, but also considers whether the use may cause any harm to potential markets that could be exploited by the copyright owner if the use were to become widespread. Now, it seems obvious to me that given that Suno's use was commercial, was creative material, and would certainly negatively impact the market and value of past and future copyright protected music, that this was not fair use. Not only
according to the case against Anthropic and the case against Meta as it related to training AI on copyrighted works, the training of AI is transformative enough to be fair use. This guy can feel however he wants about that, right? You can feel however you want about that. I think that the entire introduction of copyright into the artistic domain is problematic at best, right? Like copyright favors capitalism, right? 100%. It is not, if you are a small artist and you get some kind of benefit from copyright, good for you, right? It's not for you, but good for you for doing it. You know what I mean? This system is not designed for you. The system is not designed for you to do well. If you happen to be able to eke something out of it, you did a good job, right? You learned to game the system to stay alive under capitalism. And that's what, when you look at a lot of these cases, someone is attempting to take parts of the artistic experience, which should, in my opinion, belong to all of us, and own them, right? Whether it's a particular structure of chords or a particular turns of phrase or what have you, a series of words, they want to own that. And I find that intensely problematic.
Not only does this lower the value of the source material by creating endless derivative works at a scale unimaginable pre-AI, the existence and distribution of AI works created by these models dilutes the revenue share of the same artists whose intellectual property was used in the first place. See, most streaming platforms...
Again, that's not a compelling argument to me, right? I'm not a music purist, right? Like, I'm a huge fan of covers. I'm a huge fan of mashups. I don't, like, a lot of you are in James's community. James is more of a music purist, requires, like, for instance, 3 songs in a mashup to be like a mashup, right? Like, needs that third song. I don't care. You can mash up 2 songs just fine, and I'm cool. Covers. A huge fan of covers. James not a big fan of covers. Because a lot of people, and this doesn't just apply to James, there's a lot of people, a particular song by a particular artist becomes kind of sacrosanct, right? Like, you leave that alone. They are the best. They did it. And I disagree, right? Like, Bruce Springsteen, I like some of Bruce Springsteen's songs. I do not ever want Bruce Springsteen to sing them, right? My favorite versions of all Bruce Springsteen's songs are covers all the time, right? Again, you may differ. I don't care. That's fine. That's the nature of subjective experience. Enjoy, right? Do you, boo. I just, like, once you put something out there, it doesn't belong to you anymore. It's the entire thing of the artistic process. George Lucas created Star Wars. The minute you, as a young child, experience Star Wars for the first time, and the laser swords and starfighters and blowing up the thing, it changed you in some way. You had a personal experience with that moment and that piece of art. It doesn't belong to them anymore. It belongs to you. It belongs to us. And we should be able to create all the derivative works in the world. The only reason that you can't, and this is the crux of his argument, is it because it dilutes the market. Get to fuck.
Platforms, including the industry leader Spotify, use a pro rata royalty distribution model, in which artists are paid based on the percentage market share of their streams each month, not individual users' listening habits. So whether you listen to major label artists or not, they get the majority of your subscription payment every month.
Okay, right? So even though I don't listen to Taylor Swift ever, because any Taylor Swift song, I definitely like the cover more, right? I like some Taylor Swift songs. I listen to covers of them, usually by like what you call it? There's a band where they do like 1950s style things, that kind of thing. But Taylor Swift gets the majority of my, what is it, $25 a month that I pay to Spotify. I don't listen to Taylor Swift. That doesn't sound like a problem with the other artists. That sounds like a problem with Spotify and their distribution system.
And that's a whole nother topic that we can save for a future day.
Oh, of course.
But that means that every AI artist that gets millions of monthly listeners dilutes the revenue of hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of independent.
The problem is capitalism.
Every time.
Artists who are trying to make an honest living as a musician. Suno has settled a lawsuit and partnered with Warner Music in order to try to right these wrongs. But in my opinion, the damage...
No. That's not what happened. They are not... No one is righting wrongs. There are no righting of wrongs under capitalism. Right? These are licensing deals. Warner gets access to the model so that they can use it on their end to create new music. And Suno gets access to some portion of the catalog, right? Everything that belongs to Warner will definitely get licensed to Suno. Individual artists who have some control over the remaining catalog, those people will get paid if they opt in, because that's my understanding, is that it's an opt-in type clause. Wrongs are exploited under capitalism too. They are not special. This is true.
Is irredeemable. And they should have been put out of business from what would have amounted to billions of dollars in copyright infringement fines.
But there wouldn't have been billions of dollars in copyright infringement fines. That was weird. Did y'all hear that? Okay. So, I got new monitors, right? There was a deal on 27-inch Spectre monitors, and I took advantage of it. I got new monitors. The problem is capitalism came through here. That sound came through the speakers on the monitors. I don't even know what to do with that. I don't know how to. Well, no, I mean, they should be the same. What up, Helgen and Torin? They have lawyers ready for that, too. They know what they're doing. Yeah. I don't even know. I can't fuck this. I can't fuck this. I can't fuck with this right now. Yeah, but then we turn into a tech support stream. So you can turn off HDMI audio in the Windows set. Right, but it's not HDMI. That's what I'm saying. It's like what y'all chose a thing, right? Like this. And that one is just not going to work. I'm going to blame Twitch.
And all that works out great for the major labels, but the only recourse for indie artists, however, is multiple class action lawsuits, one of which was filed by popular YouTuber Top Music Attorney, or Delgado Entertainment Law. And in an interview with Fantano, she lists several.
Yeah, see, like that one just came through the speaker. But this one, what was the one that capitalism, right? You know, everything's going through that. What is the problem? Where is it?
The problem is capitalism.
I got nothing. Not doing tech support.
Several egregious examples of copyright infringement suffered by plaintiffs in the case.
How many of these like specific instances are you catching where you're seeing like these extreme similarities?
We pointed to over 100 examples where all these different independent sources were like, hey, we just saw Suno do this. We just saw Udio do that. So we cited to all of them, but actually 2 months before we filed our amended complaint, in the Suno case, someone messaged me, right? One of our followers, and he goes, one of the songs that Suno spit out had Zaytoven's, the music producer sample in the new output. So the point just being like it's a continued thing. When Suno came and filed its motion to dismiss, like you can't
spit out. I would love to see the prompt. I always want to see the prompt. Show me your prompt, right? You can tell me it just spit out, right? But I know, yes, I have used Suno. It happened once, but I used Suno and I ended up with a sound that was Aesop Rock. But what I did was create a particular prompt that generated Aesop Rock.
prove that Suno has ever created something based on the music it was trained on. We pointed to 100 different examples. What are you talking about?
To join the lawsuit, check the link in the description of this video. And I highly recommend that you watch the rest of that video because it's kind of horrifying. So what does all of this mean? It means that Suno, in its current form, should not legally exist. It acknowledged in a settlement that it improperly used copyright-protected intellectual property, and its product would not be as commercially viable without the data set that it stole. So what if you've used...
It wasn't stolen. Not only is that not stolen, it's fair use. I mean, again, The law, the current precedent, is it's fair use.
Used Suno. I would argue that if you've been using Suno and you didn't know that it was created this way,
Stop pushing buttons and making me feel bad.
You've done nothing wrong. However, once you do know this information, and you're someone who cares about your own...
The title of this video is There is No Ethical Use of Suno, the case against generative AI in music.
Own intellectual property, maintaining whatever commercial value it has left, you should stop using Suno. Stop engaging
Sources
with works
confirm the latest tally lands squarely at 69. Analysts say the figure is holding steady with no immediate signs of change. Interpretations vary, but one consensus has emerged. Nice.
Thank you for the 69 biddies. Interestingly enough, all of the AI generated alerts work just fine.
Or supplemented by it, and certainly do not support artists who use it in their creative workflow. It is, in my humble opinion, inherently unethical. And now some of you might say, but what about other unethical platforms like Meta, Google, Spotify, etc., etc.?
That's not what I would say. I would say that training AI is on copyrighted works is fair use, and you're just wrong. And you're wrong about the law. You can feel however you want to, you know. All right, stop what you're doing, because I'm about to ruin the image and the style that you used to. I look funny, but yo, I'm making money, G.
Once we have a viable alternative to those platforms, I will gladly switch. But in the meantime, they could technically be reformed and continue to exist in more ethical.
You waffling little motherfucker. He's like, oh, you know, yeah, there's Spotify, and I'm going to use Spotify because there's not a viable alternative to Spotify, as opposed to just saying, I'm going to stand on business, I'm going to stand on my principles and not use Spotify. The end.
Ways. To me, there is a categorical difference between a product like Suno and a product like Meta, like Facebook and Instagram, because Facebook could exist and operate in an ethical way. Its existence does not depend.
All right, Ponder Monkey. What up, Reed? Whatever this dude is on, that's what I want.
On intellectual property theft. Even though Zuckerberg is known to have stolen intellectual property in the early days of Facebook's founding, it didn't have to happen that way. The idea
Oh, that was great. Say that again.
Property theft. Even though Zuckerberg is known to have stolen intellectual property in the early days of Facebook's founding, it didn't have to happen that way. The idea could be executed by humans simply writing code. Suno could not be the product that it is without mass copyright infringement.
And again, it's fair use.
Full stop, period, end of story. It is a plagiarism machine built.
It's distinctly possible, Michael. I updated OBS to the current version, and that's why I'm looking to try and find where like something might be wrong within OBS. I'm doing tech support without trying to hold up the stream.
By copyright infringement. It demands a certain cognitive dissonance to ignore that.
Oh, you would know about cognitive dissonance, my dude.
Especially as a professional musician. And what usually happens once you make this argument is people just say, well, it's convenient and it's the way the industry is going. So
that's your argument for Spotify. It's convenient and that's the way the industry is going. It didn't have to be an unethical platform that pays artists pennies on the dollar, but you know, It is. And you should just be okay with that.
I'm going to use it anyway. That's kind of what I was seeing in the Facebook comments on that post. And while I do understand that sentiment, especially in regard to technology in general, I feel like this is a particularly damaging product. I will die on this hill. Reason number 2, the effects of using AI versus...
It's an interesting hill to die on, but at least you're dead.
Versus learning to play an instrument on cognitive health. Offloading cognitive load onto artificial intelligence platforms, including large language models like ChatGPT, is harmful to cognitive development and function. MIT released a study that showed reliance on AI for cognitive tasks, in the case of the study writing SAT essays, eroded critical thinking, and that the subjects in their study who used ChatGPT had the lowest brain engagement
Stop pushing buttons, chat.
And consistently underperformed at neural, linguistic, and behavioral levels. Now, that paper has not yet been peer-reviewed.
Thank you. Thank you. Some intellectual honesty from this fucking dipshit. Yeah. So here's the thing about this MIT study, because we talked about it. The MIT study had, 38 total people in the starting group, something like that. 50, less than 60. I'm confident less than 60. And that number dwindled down to 18 by the end of the study. 56. That sounds right. 56 down to 18 by the end of the study. They couldn't even maintain the same group over the course of the study. 6, 7? 6, 7!
But the authors
fired.
Found the results so alarming that they felt the ethical thing to do was to release it ahead of review.
That's why. That was definitely why.
It's linked in the description of this video if you'd like to read it yourself. While Suno is not a large language model like ChatGPT, it isn't hard to imagine that using it as a supplement to or substitute for learning an instrument, learning music theory, learning engineering, production, and post-production skills would similarly have fewer positive results on the brain in comparison to actually spending the time to attain those skills. And I say that because there are many studies showing that learning an instrument
circuitry's 12 years out of date. I can't keep up with today's high-speed, top-of-the-line kids.
Big Ben, thank you for gifting one to Read and Rap. By the way, if you've got a few bucks burning your pocket, and you might want to shut up, Reed. It's my money. I just had to pay $616 after tax to have a drain pipe cleared. And if you feel the urge to offset that, I would appreciate it. So, of course, as always, not required to pay anything to view the content.
Neuroplasticity, cognitive function, early brain development, and can actually ease anxiety and depression. Removing the aspects of making music that require intense focus, fine motor skill development, and a theoretical understanding of the process removes these benefits, along with the built-in life skills of patience, grit, and perseverance that are inherent to becoming good at anything. This may seem counterintuitive, but it is good to suck at things, and it is okay to make bad music in the grand scheme of developing a new skill set. In fact, here's me sucking in 2010. Roll the video.
Oh no, bro, you're sucking right now. That's the thing. You suck. It's okay. Just embrace the suck. That's actually not sucking. You're not great, but you're not sucking. You're playing at an open mic night or somebody's fucking, I don't know what's going on in the background with this football shit. So, yeah. What up, Zeke? I mean, it could be a church, or it could be like we have a place in Western New York, the Buffalo.
Would you be a good sport and indulge us and just tell us a little more? Oh, yeah.
That one worked. It was weird. Buffalo Irish Center has a setup similar to this. It's not the same, but and I mean, this is a really shitty recording. You know, you basically have a fucking open hand cam, and you're picking up all the background songs or sounds of like the bar or the crowd or what have you.
No finesse, horrible stage presence, and the most heinous part is me running an acoustic electric guitar through a wall pedal. Yeah, I did that.
Okay. It's aesthetic.
Wrap up this section, choosing to actually learn an instrument or develop.
Oh shit. I just realized why that alert worked. Thank you for the 10 bones. Marvin Inquiry. Marvin Inquiry. Thank you for the tip. You are much appreciated. Yeah. No, he's self-important, which is the problem. He is the arbiter of all things good when it comes to music.
Skills as a musician offers opportunities to collaborate with other humans. If we zoom out to the macro level and take an honest inventory of what technology has done to us, it has made us the loneliest, most depressed generation in the history.
You're literally using technology right now to talk to us.
Of our species. At the same time, it has made us the most interconnected generation in the history of our species.
Okay.
And while the communities that we develop online really can bring people together, they can give marginalized people a sense of belonging and offer a voice to those who can't be heard otherwise, they really only go so far. They are a simulacrum of the real-life, organic connections that we evolved to cherish over the course of thousands of years. So one of the most beautiful things about making music in the real world is what each unique voice contributes. Relying on Suno to be every facet within a production robs users of the chance to collaborate with others, to bring an earned skill set into an environment where it can be both nurtured by those who have more experience and can be nurtured.
And again, I'm not against any of this. If you have the time and money to learn to play an instrument, you should. It can be very fulfilling, and I wish nothing but the best for you. But the idea that, like, if you don't, you should not be allowed to create music, that's elitist as fuck.
Nurturing to those who have less experience. And the beauty of that is that you grow both as a student and an instructor, as a group, when you operate that way. It's magical, it's spiritual, and it's one of the first ways we learn to express ourselves collectively. And we should not take that for granted. Reason number 3. There are more free resources to actually learn musical skills than ever before. The argument that Suno is ultimately a net positive because it gives marginalized people who don't have the time, money, or other resources the ability to make music doesn't really hold up in my opinion. Because you have to intentionally ignore—
Why not, white boy?
All of the free resources that currently exist with which to learn instrument technique, music theory, production, engineering.
Like free instruments?
And every other skill needed to produce music without AI. But all these tools require you to spend your time and attention to use them. Now, this kind of ties back into the ethical argument from before, because if you are unwilling to put in the time and energy to acquire a skill set that you don't have, why should you get to use the product of literally every other artist's effort?
Eat a fat dick. Eat a whole bag of fat dicks.
As a shortcut to creating things. That is exactly what using Suno to make music does. All those other artists.
How fucking dare you? Get to fuck. You use electricity to increase the volume of your musical instruments. How dare you? How fucking dare you cheat? You should just be louder, sweaty.
Regardless of their socioeconomic status and access to resources, somehow, regardless of what this effort, as a shortcut to creating things. That is exactly what using Suno to make music does. All those other artists, regardless of their socioeconomic status and access to resources, somehow found a way to produce their art and
fucking bootstrapped art, dude. Just work harder, sweaty. Just work harder. Yeah. Fucking rugged individualism.
Distribute it through the proper channels. And they did all this only to have it abused now for commercial purposes. You are not entitled to use their skills that they earned, either financially, artistically, or otherwise. Think about this. If Dolly Parton, Johnny Cash, Eminem, Jimi Hendrix, Ozzy Osbourne, Shania Twain, and Prince could all somehow overcome escaping poverty, psychological or physical abuse, or a combination of all three, and develop their craft without Suno or even the internet, why can't other people do it today? When I was a teenager, YouTube was more or less just
a
place to watch people hurt themselves. Now, there are world-class instructors giving away.
That was... So, allegedly, this is from YouTube. However, you might notice a little something in the lower right indicating that this was taken from another site without compensation and put onto YouTube. What up, Straight Dope? After coming to the stream last couple of months, my thinking of the use of AI to create music has been changing. I'm close to possibly trying AI as a drum machine to write beats with. So, spell I'm weaving is work. Hey, like, give it a try. Maybe it's not for you. Maybe there's something missing in the process and you'll want to do it some other way. But if it gets you farther down the road to creating something that makes you happy and more in line with the magic things that are in your head, I say go for it, baby.
Now, there are world-class instructors giving away high-quality tutorials on instrument technique, music theory, music history, as well as free software instruments, books, samples. I got my foundational education in music theory from Rick Beato's channel. And that's just one small segment of the material that he's covered for free. Not to mention...
And you should absolutely engage with that. You know what makes you better at using an AI tool to create music is actually having some knowledge about how to create music. Hey, like, and that's all I look for. I just want people to open their minds, re-examine their, their preconceived notions, re-examine their arguments. You don't have to like AI. You don't have to engage with AI and everything else. Just understand what's actually going on. If you change your mind and you want to try out some of the things, I think there's tremendous benefit in that. I think that there are very strong arguments that if you don't use the tool, the only people who will be using the AI tools will be the fucking fascists.
The interviews, music history, song breakdowns, all that stuff. And he's not the only one. I regularly learn for free from Tom Bukovac, Guthrie Trapp, Rhett Scholl, Adam Neely, Pensado's Place, UAD's Office Hours, Michael Keithson, Nikki V, Jeff Snyder, and many
Fantastic.
more. In fact, I'll leave links to all their channels in the description of this video so that you can take advantage. And there are also tons of free music production DAWs and software tools like BandLab, Audacity, GarageBand for Mac, Cakewalk, Pro Tools.
BandLab is cool. Audacity is cool. I like both those. Audacity, at some point in time, started using an installer. That annoys the shit out of me. The piece of software you have to get in order to get Audacity, that's annoying as shit. I don't want that. But if I want to use Audacity,
intro, and more. Many of these come with virtual instruments that you can use to...
Yeah, that goes all the way back to, there's a song, and the windshield wipers snapping out of tempo, keeping perfect time with the song on the radio. And I keep rolling.
Program MIDI tracks, so you don't even technically need to know how to play an instrument or have one. But all of these require some level of time and energy up front to learn. So if you have a computer, which you kind of need to use Suno anyway, then you also have access to all of these tools to both learn skills and apply them. The excuse of I don't have resources is simply bullshit. You don't have patience. And just because you don't have the patience doesn't mean you and Suno get to capitalize on those of us who did. So in conclusion, don't use Suno. We all have to focus our energy on figuring out ways to navigate an industry where artists almost always end up being exploited. It's been going on since music became a commodity, but has progressively gotten worse over time. So what is my solution? Like, I've kind of talked a lot of shit.
This should be stunning. This should be fucking stunning.
I think at least one solution would be to have a platform that does at least the following three things. Number one, bands.
Oh, we need a new platform. There we go. I'm going to shit in my hand, wish in the other, and clap.
AI music. Now, I'm not a software engineer, nor am I a machine learning expert, so I don't know what would be involved in doing that. But that is...
Well, hey, Sweaty, why don't you fucking learn, right? Why don't you put in the time and effort to learn to create a new platform so that you can be the change you wish to see in the world? Don't wait for someone else to step up. Don't exist on the backs of other people's labor. Put the time and effort. If you really want this, you'll knuckle down and you'll make it fucking happen, baby.
Very important. iHeartRadio just announced, I think last week, that AI music is no longer allowed on their platform, but we need Spotify to get on board with that as well.
Yeah, iHeartRadio, no longer doing AI music, but still putting out fucking conservative propaganda.
Number two, it uses a user-centric royalty distribution system in which your monthly subscription is only paid to the artists you listen to. This would allow...
That'd be great. That'd be fucking phenomenal, right? I would love that. That's not going to happen, but I would love that. I mean, you can create it, big guy.
Allow fans to directly control which artists get their money every month and would be the closest thing to buying the music that you like that a streaming platform could offer. SoundCloud actually does this, but unfortunately their UI isn't the best, so people choose Spotify.
I mean, the UI on SoundCloud is fine for what it is. It's just that there aren't that many popular artists on SoundCloud.
But the point is, it is possible. And number 3, it gives artists control over their payment structure. Do you want your album to be available immediately for streaming? Or do you want to paywall some tracks to maybe get a little bit of money up front for all the work that you've put into it? Bandcamp's name your price model is great. I've actually used that for my most recent release.
I like Bandcamp too. I like being able to just go on there. Word Burglar. I've gotten all my Word Burglar. I bought the albums. I listen to them on Spotify, right? I don't listen to the stuff I've bought from Word Burglar, but I enjoy Word Burglar. If you don't know Word Burglar, you probably won't like it. Bergie. Word Burglar is a Canadian Canadian rapper. Does a lot of songs about comic books, that kind of rap what you know, right? Like that's what my man's about. Wrote an entire rap song about a grilled cheese with ham.
My sandwich ain't a sandwich without the word burger lot. Cause y'all starving, I'm living extra large. Like my sandwich ain't a sandwich without beef. Always bringing you hot shit. Like my sandwich ain't a sandwich without. Like my sandwich ain't a sandwich without.
Start the jam, I'm bringing words together like an ampersand. Word bird, about to make your goddamn pampers damp.
I'm bringing words together like an ampersand. Dude.
And amps off the ramp, getting a tam-tam. Classier than your tramp stamp ant in a Trans Am. Call Bram Van, this shit is 3000. A habitat for humanity. Free housing, help people move.
It is almost 8 o'clock. We're going to do a new Damien. And that'll probably be the end of it.
My lord. And he'll know, that it is I, then Vladimir Harkonnen, who encompasses his doom.
By now, it's a pretty old joke to note.
This is not a political channel. This is not a political stream. We're talking about science fiction.
Donald Trump's resemblance to Baron Vladimir Harkonnen in David Lynch's 1984 Dune movie. Replace the oil spray with spray tan, and they become identical. Kenneth Macmillan, who played the Baron, is of Scottish descent, as is Trump.
All roads lead to Scotland, for better or worse.
Through his mother, Mary Ann MacLeod. As an English person, it's something of a relief that for once we aren't the bad guys. And like the Baron, Trump is basically a comic book baddie. In reality, powerful people have always understood that it's much more intelligent to at least pretend to not be evil. Consider Tony Blair, Bill Gates, or Taylor Swift. On the surface, all smiles. But Trump isn't even bothering to pretend, which is why so many Americans are furious with Trump. Since World War II, the American empire has done a great job of at least...
I believe I have. Actually, I think I saw, like, I'm not a big trailer guy, Stellar Wingman. I like to know the least about the movie I'm going in to see as possible because of Terminator 2 and how the trailer for Terminator 2 ruined the movie Terminator 2.
Pretending to not be evil.
Any outlaw regime that has ties to terrorist groups and seeks or possesses weapons of mass destruction is a grave danger to the civilized world and will be confronted.
Resource wars for oil were sold as toppling.
I mean, I'm not a Tom Green fan. Organized Rhyme sounds like something that I would listen to. I don't like necessarily meme songs. I like serious songs, like, because I don't consider Word Burglar silly. I consider them fun, right? There's a fine line there. Tom Green strikes me as silly, like the whole "my bum is on your lips" fucking. I never got Tom Green. I never got the fucking What's It and Eric show. That fucking thing. There's so much comedy that I'm just not a fan of.
Dictators and expanding democracy, covert operations against democratic leaders to secure corporate interests were excused as fighting communism. On one hand, you have the largest military-industrial complex in human history. On the other, ordinary working people who just want weekends and healthcare. And the MAGA movement is made up of people who look at that and think the baddies are the commies. People who not only believe America when it pretends to not be evil, but think that makes America a wimp. People who cheer when America just goes full on, no excuses, old school imperialist. So
I will check them out, Straight Dope.
So now Trump also resembles...
I'll find him on Spotify.
The Baron Harkonnen of Denis Villeneuve's Dune, soaking in oil while moaning,
My desert.
My Dune. My Caracas. And this is all because Frank Herbert, in his science fiction masterpiece Dune, didn't just build a universe of medieval power struggles projected into the far future, he also wrote a sharp critique of very real-world power dynamics from which we can learn important lessons about our reality here in 2026. Lessons I have ordered into a convenient 7-point listicle. Trump probably understands he will never live to be a baron, but that's why he literally called his son Baron. Baron Trump. Fake it until you make it. Forget nations, forget ideologies. The game from here on in is who will be the great house of planet Earth. Trump isn't playing to make America great, he's playing to make House Trump all-powerful, as are the House of Sound, the House of Putin, and probably House of Musk. There is a reason Elon keeps spurting out kids with weird names. Whichever house you live under, remember this: a win for House Trump is not a win for you. In fact, the opposite is true. You, the people, are just another resource in the great house struggles. You will be disciplined into extractive economic systems. You will be propagandized with ideologies to keep you compliant. You will be harvested as consumers with addictive products that slowly kill you, and your sons will fight and be killed in the house wars. Every time your great house wins by, let's say, stealing the oil of a neighboring nation, their power over you grows stronger. They win, you lose. Every time Ezra Klein mumbles something about abundance capitalism, shout back at him, choke point capitalism. Capitalism isn't about providing ever more material abundance to consumers. It's about controlling the choke points of scarcity to maintain power. In Dune, Frank Herbert made the spice melange the ultimate choke point. Everything in the Dune universe depends on the spice.
He who controls the spice controls the universe.
The spice is, of course, modelled on the modern world's dependence on oil, the scarce resource that the British and American empires have fought relentless wars over to keep control of the choke point. And with that control, the powers of the Dune universe enforce feudalism. It is, of course, absurd for a galactic civilization to still be a medieval feudal society. Humanity should be far beyond the feudalism of Dune, but this is, of course, Frank Herbert's point. Feudalism is the state the great houses will always return humanity to, if and when they can. In 1526, that was agricultural feudalism. In 2026, it's techno-feudalism. If anyone is near Ezra Klein right now, please explain this to him. No amount of technology will ever create abundance, because the technology will always be abused by power, unless you have the stones to face down the great houses and take the power back. And the reverse is also true. The Butlerian jihad has become a popular internet meme as LLMs have reawakened fears of artificial intelligence. But it's important to remember that the entire Dune universe is what happens when humanity does not build machines in the likeness of a human mind. The Butlerian
Yes! Tell him.
Jihad is named after Samuel Butler and his 1872 science fiction novel Erewhon, one of the first to explore the dangers of AI. Herbert thought deeply about the risk of AI in novels like Destination Void and then Dune, but as a radical libertarian, Herbert certainly was not in favour of banning AI by religious decree. In Dune, the Bene Gesserit Order use false religion to impose control over humanity. Their religious decree against machines in the image of the human mind is one of those control mechanisms. By banning thinking machines, the Bene Gesserit didn't liberate humanity. They just created a monopoly on intelligence. They
No notes. No notes. Right? No notes. People who talk about the fucking Butlerian Jihad don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They don't even understand. You don't understand Dune. You don't understand Dune. Paul Atreides, not a hero. Not a hero. Right? Fucking Bene Gesserits, not heroes. It's just all bad guys all the way down.
forced the human mind to become the machine. Mentats suggest spreadsheets. Guild navigators are Google Maps for the galaxy. In 2026, the Butlerian Jihad is the ultimate boycott fallacy. Today's left loves to boycott things, which is why everything is boycotted by someone and nothing ever changes. All boycotting LLMs does is ensure that only the most ruthless great houses, the ones who don't give a damn about your ethical AI frameworks, will wield the power of the algorithm.
All this.
Dune isn't a story about why the Butlerian Jihad is a great idea. It's a brutal warning about what happens if AI is left solely in the hands of House Musk or House Tencent.
We get it. The universe is overwhelming. You're expected to govern entire planetary systems. Your spice quotas are higher than ever, and there's always another rebellion to crush. But what if there was a better way? Our integrated solutions empower business, great houses, and the imperial throne itself. From supply chain optimization to secure data transfer, we keep the machinery of civilization grinding. We are the hand that shapes trade, the blood that fuels industry, the power behind every throne. We are CHOAM. Display your loyalty to the mercantile with our limited edition CHOAM t-shirt collection.
If you want to know why Arrakis
Fantastic.
is such a hellhole, don't look at the worms, look at the taps. Frank Herbert was obsessed with hydraulic despotism, a term from the historian Carl Fogel describing how ancient empires in Egypt and China controlled their populations by owning the irrigation systems. If you control the water in a desert, you don't need a secret police force, you just need a valve. In 2026, our water is data. He who controls the internet controls your access to everything. At the flick of a virtual switch, any dissident citizen can be shadow banned and debanked. So you can't even buy a bottle of Evian. Extend this control to the smart grid, central bank digital currencies, and social credit systems, and you have unitary power for whoever grasps it. Under the old style of tyranny, they had to send the Sardaukar to kick in your door. In the hydraulic despotism of 2026, they just unauthorize your digital wallet. We love a chosen one. We love a story of the young prince who goes into the desert, joins the noble savages, and overthrows the evil emperor. But as Peter Turchin reminds us in his theory of elite overproduction, Robin Hood and Paul Atreides are both dispossessed aristocrats. When society has too many highly educated and ambitious elites kicking about, with or without advanced archery skills or the powers of a Kwisatz Haderach, some will decide that going rebel and raising up the people looks like a winning strategy.
No longer will City Hall hesitate to use its power to improve New Yorkers' lives.
Those willing and able to use the language of liberation to capture the energy of the subaltern. But once they reach the throne, the spice must flow. The elite cycle isn't broken, it's just refreshed, with a more handsome face. Maybe it's a communist manifesto. Maybe it's an affordability crisis. From Vladimir Lenin to Zoran Mandani, history always has a handful of charismatic rebels in play, and they are essential. Change does not happen without some elites slumming it with the rebels. But as Dune and Paul Atreides show us, the charismatic hero is always a two-edged crysknife. It might pay to vote for them, but it never entirely pays to trust them. The Bene Gesserit are the ultimate masters of
narrative warfare, right? Like the propagandist series, that idea of narrative, that idea of story that we talk about on this channel, like narrative warfare is a real, tangible, important thing.
Long-term narrative warfare. They don't win battles with desert power. They win them with the Missionaria Protectiva, seeding religious myths into primitive cultures centuries in advance, so that one day a Bene Gesserit agent can step into the role of a messiah. Today, our 24-hour online digital culture is saturated with ideologies, theories, conspiracies, fantasies, myths, stories, narratives. And all of them are designed to serve one power or another. Power today is the ability to socially engineer their future by seeding the myths of today. Our algorithmic feeds are terraforming our minds, planting the correct social values and political anxieties, so that when an orange-hued Lisan al-Gaib appears on our screens, we've already
I've never heard her pronounce that way. Lisan al-Gaib.
Been programmed to believe the reality TV actor is a billionaire entrepreneur. It's all too easy to see the bullshit that others believe and mock them for it. But if the dark fate of the Fremen, who are led to their doom by the sci-fi version of an Eton public schoolboy with a grudge, is any lesson, it's that the narrative we hold most sacred is the one we must put the most energy into debunking. The most important lesson of Dune is the one that people usually find the most boring: the economics of CHOAM. The Emperor, the Great Houses, the Spacing Guild spend the entire series trying to kill each other, but they're all fighting to be on the board of directors of the Combine, Honnet, Ober, Advancer Mercantiles. It's almost as though Frank Herbert is telling us that the political theatre of the Landsraad, aka Congress and the Senate, the speeches, the filibusters, the democracy, is just a distraction from the real power. Shareholders. Beyond the culture wars and the theatrics of House Trump or House Putin lies the true ownership of the world's infrastructure. The real power isn't who wins the election, it's who holds shares in global capitalism. Have you noticed how every government, many corporations, and probably everyone you know is in debt? Ever wondered who everyone owes that debt to?
Yes. Yes. Something like $350 trillion the world is in debt. To who? To the aliens?
Well, it's about 56,000 individuals of ultra-high net worth who have
aliens.
Have the Hundi, 100 million or over, the 0.00001% who own a real share in global capitalism. This is the closed loop. The great houses might fight in public, but they meet in private to divide the spoils of the spice. And until we understand who owns the CHOAM shares in 2026, we're all just fighting over sand while they own the planet. Thank you for sticking with me this far. If you weren't black-pilled before, you've now had a taste of that black pill, the awakening to the reality of human power in all its grubby horror and banality. But here's the thing. We have spent hundreds, thousands of years sanding the sharp edge off the razor blade of power, so it's much harder to cut ourselves when shaving. I pushed that metaphor too far. The point is, we have, or had until about a year ago, a political system that was somewhat better than that which came before. We call it, like it or not, liberal democracy. In the words of Winston Churchill, it's the worst possible system except for all the others we've tried. If you're a conservative who thinks that a strongman dictator will make it all better, or a progressive who thinks a charismatic leader and armed revolution are the answer, well, good luck living back in the bad old world of Dune.
Oh, I love me some Damien. All right, folks. Come on. Da-dun. Da-dun. Checking the calendar. Our next episode will be Monday the 12th. 12th. It's a weird word. Yeah, it looks like Monday, Tuesday the 13th, and then Thursday the 15th. So, you know, unless everything collapses around me, something else catches fire that I have to attend to. Stick around for the raid. You know how this works. You've been on Twitch long enough. Unless you're watching this on YouTube, and, you know, you can go. What up, Monochromatic? If you haven't experienced a raid before, now's your chance. Now is your chance. Near. Oh, a bunch of people are on. Bunch of gamers. Been a minute since I raided Talarks. We're gonna raid Talarks. All right. I will see you in a few days. I'll see some of you in places I frequent. In the meantime, Froggy what up, homie? In the meantime, drink your water, eat some food, take your meds if you forgot, and always remember that Chuggy loves you. So do I. Be great.